Hey guys, it's welcome back to the channel. Hi, hope you're doing well and fine. So this is gonna be a much more laid back video, and when I mean laid back, I mean much more calm, more conversational point. I didn't wear pajamas because it's just more of a laid out. So as you can tell, this is gonna be a video dedicated to Back to the Future and how I first heard about it and all that. It all started when I went to this really popular theme park. You guys might have heard of it. It was called Universal Studios, and they had a bunch of rides. I wanted to get on the Jurassic Park ride, but they wouldn't let me in, so I started crying over that. I wanted to get into the Terminator show, but it was really long, and I was impatient, so I said, "Fuck that! Let's go do something else. Let's go around and see what other rides are there." And I was with my mom, my tia, my cousin, my sister. Then I see this big fucking ride. I don't know what it looks like. Or at least I didn't know what it was trying to look like. The ride is where the Simpsons ride is now, and it was the Back to the Future ride. Now, for those of you who remember Back to the Future ride, it was just this nice little ride where you get a DeLorean and go stop Biff from, well, I don't remember actually. All I remember is that Biff is in it, Doc is in it, and you chase him throughout times. Now, when I was a kid, I didn't know what the fuck Biff was. I didn't know who the fuck Doc was. All I saw was a cool looking car. I see this video about this old man, and he's explaining the time machine, his second DeLorean, some shit like that. I don't remember, guys. I was like 3 or 4 when I entered this ride, and I had no idea what the fuck Back to the Future was. I see this big, tall, blonde motherfucker, and he's all like, "Oh, I'm gonna steer a time machine." And then for some reason I got scared. I got scared for some reason. I didn't want to go to the ride anymore. I might have cried and peed. But the point here is I got scared. And then my cousin was like, "No, don't be scared. Trust me, it's gonna be fun. It has dinosaurs." And I was like, "Dinosaurs?" She's like, "Yeah, dinosaurs." And I was like, "Oh, is it at least a T-Rex?" And she was like, "Yeah, I think. I don't know." So I said, "Come on, dinosaurs it is." All I remember is from this ride is Vegas, dinosaur, and Biff being arrested. That's all I remember. And coming out of that ride as a kid, of course, the first thing I thought of was, "Fuck yeah, dinosaur!" That's a dinosaur. It was a T-Rex. It was so awesome. And then I fell asleep. I don't remember much. I think I went to go eat somewhere after that, after my cousin went on the mummy ride. Anyway, so that was the first time I've ever heard anything about Back to the Future. It was just this ride and this cool looking car and a dinosaur. So a few years later go by, right? I go to my cousin's house, and my tia, she puts on the TV randomly, and there's this clip of this guy falling off a tree. And I'm like, "Whoa, he's gonna die." And this other guy pushes him out the way. I was like, "Oh, he saved him." But then he gets knocked out. And then I was like, "Oh, what movie is this? This is a little interesting." And my tia was like, "Oh, this is Back to the Future." "Yeah, it's Back to, have you heard of it? It's a really famous movie." And I said, I have never heard of this shit in my whole entire life." "Oh, you should sit down and watch it. Come here." She prepares the sofa. My cousins start preparing the sofa too. They start sitting there. But right before I finish seeing the movie, I think my mom came in. She's like, "Come on, we gotta go." Because she was with my grandma, my tia, and my grandma live in the same house. So she's like, "Come on, we gotta go." I was like, "Oh, well, that sucks. I was really enjoying this movie. But oh well, it's fine." So I leave. I don't ever know what happens to that kid in the car or who gets hit by the car. And I go on about my day. A few years later, I go with my mom to her job. And I'm helping out. I mean, well, I try helping out, I was like 9 or 10 when I went to go with my mom. She's a maid. She cleans for a living. So, I just do, I broom, I vacuumed, I swept, although anything with like a stick on the floor was mainly what I did. And vacuuming too. That's more like sucky. But the point here is I tried helping out. And during that time, the lady of the house was there. And she turns on the TV, and I see the same guy who got hit by a car in that movie from my tia from a long while ago. And then after I was like, whoa, what movie is this? I've seen it before. Well, I didn't see it before, but I've seen a part of it. He's like, oh, this is Back to the Future. Have you ever seen it? And I was like, no, I haven't. Well, yes, but no, I haven't. Oh, well, do you want to sit here and watch part 2? It's about to start. So I walk and I sit on the sofa. And then Mom was like, what are you doing? I was like, I kind of want to watch the TV. And she's like, no, you got to help me. You got to help me sweep. I was like, oh, okay. So I started sweeping the house a bit. But I got little glimpses of Back to the Future. And like little glimpses. I just saw part 2 in the beginning where Tacos were like, Marty, your kids, Marty, they're in trouble. Come on, Marty. We have to go, Marty. And Marty's all like, "Well, geez, Doc, is this sad? What's going on? Do we ever become sad?" No, Marty, it's your kids. That's the only thing I remember. And then they fly up, and the credits and the title credits come on. They're in like the fucking air. And while I'm sweeping and doing a really job because I'm being distracted, I'm like, this is kind of lame. I thought it'd be a bit more exciting. I didn't know it'd just be about, oh, I mean, cool flying cars, but this is lame. Wow. And then I lost interest. And yeah, and then a few years later, I just didn't really pay attention to it at all. And then by a few years later, I mean like 1 or 2 years later, then I entered middle school. And, it's the first time people were exposed to having periods. And I was in 6th grade. And there was this one class I had. It was called Get Ready for Life. And it was supposed to help you out with life somehow. I mean, it talked about really college and what do you want to do there. I mean, they didn't really teach you how to deal with divorce or taxes or insurance, so it's not really for us. It's more like get ready for college. We're not here to shit about that. Anyway, so my teacher, Mr. Scott, he was like this white, glasses, blonded looking guy. He was pretty chill. The first day he explained what get ready for life was, and we were like, okay, well, I guess this is cool. And something happened in there, right? Something happened to him or in the school. Where the next day he's like, yeah, everything I told you about Get Ready for Life, yeah, fuck that. You're only gonna have that Wednesdays now. And everyone's like, what the fuck are we gonna do now? What's gonna happen on Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays? And Mr. Scott, he's like, well, it's still Get Ready for Life, but through film. And everyone's like,
oh shit! Oh my god! What? Movies in middle school? This is the greatest fucking day ever!
And yeah, I mean, it was, at least for that few seconds. Then he was like, wait, hold on, we're gonna watch we're not gonna watch, your typical movies. And everyone's like, oh man, that sucks. Especially for me. I already thought we had a good chance of watching Shrek or Madagascar. And he explained to us how each movie was gonna tackle this theme about life and this and that, and how it's to be helpful and education. Sorry, my language is a little bit shitty. Educational. And we're like, oh, this is gonna this is gonna be lame. Undeniable. This is undistinguished. Everyone's like, alright, this is gonna be a boring class. Even we're gonna watch boring movies and all that. And it wasn't, man. He showed us some really dope films. But a lot of these old movies that I love now, it was because of him. We saw Singing in the Rain, which is a fucking classic. We saw Rear Window, one of my favorite Hitchcock movies. We saw a bunch of old movies too, but it wasn't just from the 60s or 50s. Like some of them from the 40s, some of them were from the 80s, some of them were from the 90s, and some of them were just. It was just a mixture of movies, and it did tackle life, kinda, not really. I think he just said that at the time just so that it would sound educational, but really, it was kind of like a cool retro film class because he showed us everything and anything. Well, except the rated R shit. That was, he's like,
no, we're not going to cross that territory.
So anyway, throughout my first semester in middle school, we're seeing these old movies, and then one day, he comes on class, and he goes in front of the class, and he asks everyone, has anyone here ever seen or heard of Back to the Future? And a lot of people raise their hands saying, yeah, I've heard of it. And a few people saying, yeah, I've seen it. And he's like, but have you seen all of them? And then I was one of the very few lame people. I was like, wait, how many are there? I know there's 2, but is there more? What do you know? So then my teacher, Mr. Scott, he's like, all right, well, we're going to watch that today. And people were cheering. People were always cheered. well, not always, but people would cheer whenever it was like a big popular movie. For the most part, people were happy, right? So like plugs. So I'm sitting there, it's like, you know what? I haven't seen Back to the Future. I've only seen tidbits of it, but I've never seen all the full thing. So fuck it. Why not? Let's see what the hype is all about. And he showed us all 3 movies. And I was fucking late to the game. When I saw those 3 movies, I was fucking blown away. How at the end, the clock tower, he stick it last minute, and then Johnny Be Good. It's such a classic. It has laughs and romance, even though some of it's kind of incesty. But still, it was the first one's it's a work of art. It's cinema. And then part two is fucking dark and amazing. Maybe not dark all the way, but like the first half where they go to the future, that shit was dope. And then the second third of it where they have to go back to the 80s and see what they fucked up, and then fucking Marty's dad is dead. I was like, holy shit, this is dark. And then Marty's mom gets like boobs. I was like, whoa, that's disgusting. But man, they're big. Especially when Doc and Marty realized they fucked up something in the timeline, and then Doc saw like, we fucked up, Marty. This is our original timeline, and then something happened where it went terrible, and we create a brand new timeline. So going back here wouldn't exist anymore, because therefore it went over there and here, and now it's all over the place, and we're screwed, Marty. We're fucking screwed. But yeah, that was such a dope part. And then right at the end, when like they're there at the dance, Marty's there at the dance, and Doc's helps out. That shit was amazing. And then part 3 is, well, we get to part 3, but most part, it's great. In part 3, where they go back to the West, and we see Biff's great-great-grandfather and shit, and then fucking the dad's not there for some reason. I don't know, contract reason. And it was so heartfelt, because it was more about Doc, and I really liked that. I'm not gonna lie. It's a great fucking trilogy. I mean, seriously, it is. Like, I know people bitch about it, saying, well, not bitch, because everyone, but I know people have their little, like, nitpicks, right? When they say, well, Marty has no actual arcs because he stays consistent throughout all 3. I was like, I mean the first 2, not the third one, right? Right.
I said right.
But like, holy shit, I was so late to the game. I kind of wished I kind of grew up with other people, how they saw back when they were like a little fucking kid, and how like they know what the DeLorean, they probably dressed up as Marty McFly as a kid, and have their dad be dressed up as like Doc. Like that. All I'm saying, that would have been really cool Comic-Con cosplay. Just saying. That would have been fucking dope. I'm around 7th grade. I love that movie. I don't have it, but I love that movie. But around 7th grade, I started doing something. I started collecting VHSs. I don't know why. I was too broke to have a Blu-ray player, and my DVD player wasn't really working at the time. So the only way I could really watch movies was collecting VHSs. And I've collected a lot of VHS. I have the OG Star Trek, the OG Star Wars. I got a bunch of VHSs because there's this thrift store nearby my house called Out of the Closet, and they would sell VHSs for like 25 cents. I'm not kidding. 25 cents. One VHS would be 25 cents. And I'd always go there to like get my VHSs. So one day, I go into the thrift store, and I see Back to the Future Part 1, Back to the Future Part 2, Back to the Future Part 3, all on sale. And I lose my fucking mind. So what did I do? I bought them, of course. Are you kidding me? All 3 Back to the Future? Like, 75 cents in total, just for this. Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3. Like, you know, it's like the goats. Like, when I'm having like a really shitty day, I'll put on Back to the Future. Like, it's just, they're such a wholesome trilogy, you know? They're just really wholesome. They're just really wholesome movies, and it's really all about like adventure. So, the Back to the Future trilogy, where do I rank them? Well, without a doubt, first one's in first place, of course. It's just, everything just felt so in place. And it's crazy how this thing like was shopped around everywhere because people kept on saying no. And also thought the time machine was going to be a refrigerator at one point. That actually was kind of weird. Then in second place, part 2 is just not to say part 1 isn't great, but part 2 is just, it has a little bit more of a cool, darker vibe, and it's a little bit much more it's a bit more interesting. At least the concept of this is a bit more interesting, because they actually talk about what happens if you mess up in time, which was everything they were trying to prevent here. So I really, really love it. And especially, come on guys, don't tell me you didn't find the last third of the movie really fucking cool, when Marty is like in the dance where he was in the first one, and then Doc is helping out Doc, but he can't. That was just awesome. And don't get me started on whole Future 2015. If you saw that as a kid, or at least before 2015, I guarantee you, you're at least like, where the flying cars at though? Where are they at though? Where's all this promised bullshit? And then the third one, look, I know a lot of people don't love the third one, but I really, because it's more of a Doc story than it is a Marty McFly. And even in it, we see Marty McFly like grow up, because at the end of the trilogy, we start, well, at least in part 2 really, like was when like I think it was Biff's grandson when he called him chicken, and he gets triggered by it. And then this one, at the very end, when Flea from the fucking Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I don't know why he's there, but Red Hot Chili Peppers is my favorite band of all time, so you bet your ass when I saw Flea, I was like, that's fucking Flea! And if you know who Flea, he's the guy who does the bass for Red Hot Chili Peppers. But when I saw him at the end, and he's like calling Marty out like, what, you don't want to race, chicken? And I really thought he was gonna race. Because, you know, in part 2, he has that, he can't play guitar more because he's fucked up in his arm. And I was like, well, this is kind of dark for it to end. But then when he starts racing and he goes back, and then we see the accident that's supposed to happen. Like, I was like, holy, like, the third one it doesn't have the same amount of heart or, like, thought into part 1 and 2. But it still has that Back to the Future vibe. And it's just a bit more adventurous. And it weirdly wraps up the trilogy. I mean, look, if I'm being honest, would I put in the Western? No, because I don't even like Westerns that much. I do enjoy them, but I don't love them. I have my few exceptions. Same thing with, well, no, I can't stand period pieces. Anyway, point here is, as a whole, Back to the Future is just it's the fucking GOAT. I mean, I'm kind of mad at myself that I didn't really get to know about it sooner in life, but I'm glad that I figured out sooner or later that these movies are amazing. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's my history with Back to the Future. It started out with this weird-looking ride at Universal, and all I knew about it, that it was a DeLorean and an old guy and dinosaurs, and it ends with, you know, well, at least not ends, but, you know, but now I have it at home on VHS, and I just put it any time, because these are some of my favorite movies of all time. If I'm being honest, they probably are. The first one, without doubt, it's in my favorite movies of all time. Like, top 10, at least. At least. I don't know. Maybe I'll make a video about that one day. Alright, guys. Well, that's my history with Back to the Future. If you liked the video, leave a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. It helps out all the time. Or maybe the notification bell is probably going to be this way. Yeah. Probably. Hey, guys, let me know. How did you guys, like, first hear of Back to the Future? Did you guys hear when you guys were young? Did you guys, like, just found out a little bit, like, a few years earlier? Let me know down in the comments below. Till the next video. See ya.